Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Nate. I am back with just a quick Lego review for this new Star Wars set that I just picked up this week. Pretty jazzed up about it. As soon as it was announced, I believe back in the summer of this year, 2020, it quickly rose to one of the top must-have sets. Actually, I mean, almost every set in the fall wave this year is a must-have in my opinion. This set 75293, the Resistance ITS Transport, 932 pieces, and as you can see here, zooming in, it is transported from Star Wars Galaxy Edge Trading Outpost. So this is a Disney, I guess, add-on. It's not from any of the movies or the cartoon animated shows. This is specifically created and designed as a theme park attraction for Disney at Galaxy's Edge. I believe in Florida. I'm not sure there. I don't believe that they have this in California, just in Florida. So the set does come with 4 minifigures. Retails for $999 US, $999, $99.99 US. So overall, I would say like price per piece ratio is actually pretty high on this. You're not paying a significant premium versus what we see with some other sets. Has four, 3.5, 4 unique minifigures. Definitely 3 unique minifigures, and then the Gonk Power Droid. All hail Gonk Power Droid. I don't know if you count that as a figure or really a unique fig because, you know, it's pretty easy to replicate. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get into the speed build, let you know how that goes, and then sum it all up with final thoughts and an overall review. Taking a look at the box specifically, I believe this is kind of a shot of, what is that called? They call it the Galaxy's Edge. So I think this is supposed to be reminiscent of the setup at Galaxy's Edge. It looks like we're kind of in a rock formation landed here. I'm sure they're trying to keep it secret, keep it safe. You can kind of see some of the features of the set with the buildable walk ramp, or the walk ramp. There's a container in there for storage. I put the additional translucent red studs and a couple of blasters in there. Just kind of going through the whole thing. I'd say overall the box art looks really nice. I like that white with the Darth Vader. It's very cool. They've had that around probably, I think, the last 2 years or something like that. I think it just is kind of stunning. And then the instruction book here, nothing special overall, but I will say I did it like that they put this in its own bag. Sometimes you get these instruction booklets and they're bent out of shape because they're just flying around in the box with all the parts. But this one was kept really nice because it was kept in that extra protective plastic sleeve. And I would say overall the box size itself, with the bags, there are 8 bags, and the instruction booklet in there, there wasn't too much shifting around, which was pretty nice. I like it when the Lego kind of fills out the box more nicely. Sometimes you'll pick up a set off of a shelf and you can kind of shake it around, and I mean, you can feel everything just going back and forth. And in this instance, they kind of packed it full, which I appreciate. Alright, now we got everything built. I just want to go over and take a quick look at the minifigures, kind of some of the design aspects of the set that I like, and maybe just give my overall thoughts of it. Is it worth the money, and you know, just anything else. So getting into it, the set does come with 4 figures here. I guess really 2 figures, a buildable figure, and an astromech droid. The astromech droid is rather interesting and unique. I do like the black on, or the red on black color scheme of it. Kind of similar to the blue, light blue astromech that came in the Resistance Y-Wing. The Gonk droid, I mean, what can you say? It's a buildable block Gonk droid. I do think that they were able to do quite a bit without too many unique or interesting pieces. It looks the part, fits the bill. I do like the sand green on it. The other two exclusive figures, I guess these guys are Vi Marati and Lieutenant Beck. So Vi Marati, the blue hair is pretty cool. She does have two faces. I like the orange jacket with the Resistance logo on it. Overall, the printing's pretty nice. It would have been nice to see some printing on the legs, but I guess that just wasn't in the cards for LEGO this time. Moving on to the Mon Calamari figure here, Lieutenant Beck. Again, a unique torso. I like the way it's done. The head print is not necessarily, or the head mold is not unique. Obviously, there's other Mon Calamari figures, but it is nice to see LEGO printing, or yeah, I guess uniquely printing this one because it is in the gray and off gray color scheme. It does look rather nice. You can get a little bit more of the detail here. So I'm a big fan of that head mold. I'm sure it costs a little bit more, so that probably plays into why maybe they didn't have a fourth legitimate, I guess, quote unquote legitimate figure in the set. For $100, it's nice that you got 3 unique characters, but I still would have liked to see maybe at least one more, but that's what they gave us this time. Moving on to the set itself, just to kind of get some scale here. I would say the nice thing about this set is it's going to look really good on display. Personally, I'm a huge fan of how it looks, considering it's just, you know, a standard transport ship. A lot of it was pretty well built, I would say. I'm just going to show some of the features of the set here. In the front, we've got the cockpit area, and you've got swivel turrets for, they're not flick fire, they're the stud shooters. I'm not a huge fan of stud shooters in general. Here, I think that they work actually pretty well in place of flick fire, or not flick fire, the spring-loaded shooters. There are no spring-loaded shooters on this set. As a play feature, I think probably fun for kids. I'm not really sure exactly how this set looks, or excuse me, how the ship looks normally, so I'm not sure how accurate these are. I'd probably have to compare some pictures, but it is easy enough just to kind of pop them off. You can remove them and build it in separately, and then like I said here, these are spin turrets. So the other aspect here in the front is the cockpit, which is, I would say, pretty well hidden in the overall design of the set. It's just a simple latch up here, and you've got enough space for exactly one minifigure in there. I will say that that's a little disappointing when you kind of see the overall area that's taken up by this seat. It does seem like you could or should be able to fit in more. I'm just going to put Lieutenant Beck in there. It does seem like you could fit some back there. I am interested in maybe modding or checking out maybe pre-existing mods for the set to see if there is a way to build it in such a way that you can get additional figures in there. It's a transport, so it would be nice if you could fit you know, as many figures in it as possible. That is one nice thing I would say about the set overall, is that it's built to be a transport, and it actually can transport items. It has the space inside to do so. Here there's a drop-down ramp, which has a pretty nice open and close mechanism. Here I would say you actually have to close the top down first in order to pop it in, and it's a fairly smooth line there. I think the lines on the set overall are pretty smooth. The only place that I think is a little wanting as far as cover up here is in the front lower part. Looking at the bottom of the set, actually, it's not really, you know, they're not really covering anything up on the bottom. I don't suppose you really need to, though, in my opinion, because, I mean, I don't think most people are going to display this thing from the bottom looking up, but maybe, I'm not sure. So we can pop off the top here. It's just got a little couple stud clips right there. There's actually a little box that has some weapons in it that actually is, you know, storage transported, right? And on both sides you can see kind of the same belt on both sides where you have the open transport doors, and you can actually fit at least 2, probably 3. Let's see here. I mean, I can definitely fit an astromech in there, and the gonk droid, if its feet weren't wonky, maybe he can fit on there a little bit. Yeah, so that's pretty nice. Now you can actually carry all of the figures in the set. Like I said, again, it would be nice if you had the ability to put more people in the cockpit. Not overall really that necessary. This couple stickers on this guy, they weren't too terrible to put on. I would say some sets it's a real hassle to put them on. They do add quite a bit of detail to the set, which I'm a fan of. They are here. There's 2 sets here, and these are the exact same on the other side. And then just like this double Z pattern, I don't really know what that is supposed to represent, but there's one here, and then again, the other side is identical with its sticker set. The last thing are the engines. The engine build was a little tedious, kind of interesting though. I'd say overall they're pretty well built, pretty sturdy on there. You're not going to run, you shouldn't have too many issues with these things falling off randomly, and they do look rather nice. The design of it kind of is reminiscent to me of the U-Wing Starfighter from Rogue One. Back here they do have some additional stud shooters. I'm not sure if those are supposed to be symbolize like rear turrets, or if they're just supposed to be additional, you know, thrusters. I'm not really sure. The only other thing that I'm not a huge fan of, and it's probably just part color selection at the time, this little dome on here, you can see it's gray on top, dark gray on top and white on the bottom. That's just kind of a small little minor detail for me that I'm not a huge fan of. Looking again at the set overall, I would probably, for just playability, I'd probably give it a pretty high score. Like I mentioned again, there's not many sets where you actually have, you know, an interior that you can actually use and store your minifigures in. They can easily, you know, walk in, hang out. You can fit quite a few people in here, which is, I think, really important for a ship that claims to be a transport. So I would probably give that probably a 9 out of 10. I'm trying to think of additional play features that would be really cool that you could add to it. For me, would probably just have additional places that you could have storage. There are some larger spots in the set that maybe could have been expanded upon. They did use a pretty thick center build here and here, here and here, Technic build, which I think works well. The set itself is very, very sturdy, with the exception of this top piece, which is meant to come off pretty easily. I mean, you can shake this thing all day, swoosh it, woo! I mean, this thing's not going anywhere. I would say that probably, maybe I'd bump it to a 9.5 on playability for kids, because I don't think that they're going to have any issues with this. Some of the other sets, that you see from Lego. You know, you can squish them around a little bit, but you know, an X-Wing, a lot of the blasters are gonna fall off if you mess around too hard, and the wings are a little bit flimsy. This thing's like, I would say, just a really solid build overall. Moving on to like overall design, again, it has a it's built with a center Technic frame, and that's very sturdy, which I'm a huge fan of, and having the ability to maximize pretty well, I would say, an internal storage area is fantastic. I like the look of the engines. The only thing that I don't like about this design, well, I guess there's two small things. Again, I wish that there was a little bit more room in this forward cockpit area to either put an additional minifig in or potentially additional storage of some kind. And then I'm not a huge fan of this open area. They did a really good job kind of closing everything else off, but that piece is just kind of left open. The landing gear doesn't really bother me too much. I think on a lot of these transport ships, the idea is that they just kind of land and you don't really see, you know, retractable landing gear on some of these. They just have a flat bottom and they just kind of lay on the ground. So design overall, I'm probably going to give it, I'd probably give it a 9. I think that it looks great, and I can't tell you how sturdy this thing is. It is an absolute unit when it comes to that. Looking at kind of the minifigure selection for the set, like I said, I think that it is nice that it came with 3 unique figures, with the Astromech, by Maraudi, and Lieutenant Beck. I like seeing the additional Mon Calamari figure. They have the mold, so it's nice to just get more of them in general. But I do feel like it could have used an additional figure. It's got that $100 price tag. You know, and I'm not familiar. I haven't seen the actual ride or been there yet, so I don't know if they just didn't have an additional person to put in. I think I know that Hondo is a big part of the Disney World attraction, so maybe this would have been a good opportunity to add an updated Hondo minifigure, someone a little bit older than what we saw in Clone Wars and through Rebels. I think that's kind of a missed opportunity. I'm sure a lot of other people feel the same way. So I think I'm going to give it about an 8 on minifigure, for their minifigures. The last category, and I'm still kind of figuring out exactly how I want to categorize all this stuff, but I think the last category will be just display, how this will look, you know, on my shelf next to other Resistance, or maybe like something that's kind of looks similar to this would be maybe the Resistance transport from episode 7, or even like the Tantive 4, Tantive Eve 4, the UCS kind of build play set. I think it would look really cool next to all those. The scale's pretty nice. It has the Resistance color, so if you have the Resistance X-Wing, I mean, you got the gray and the blue, which just, it's nice to have something slightly different color when it comes to Lego Star Wars. I mean, if you're into a lot of the Imperial sets and stuff like that, you're really just getting black and gray. So the blue is a nice little extra color there. So I would probably give this thing like a 9 for displayability. There's nothing overly unique about the look of it, and there are some kind of exposed areas here that don't look super great. But I would say that you can just plop this on a shelf. It's going to look good. You could probably add lights and make it look really well and good. And then there's plenty of space on the bottom here, like exposed Technic and just studs that you could build a stand on if you wanted to have it off the ground at all, or even probably you could probably build one at an angle to display it on too, to make it look as if it's, you know, doing something interesting. So I kind of like that, but at the end of the day, it is just a transport. So as far as like action poses go, I don't think this thing's really gonna blow anyone away. Overall, considering the sets that came out here this fall, I guess the winter wave, I mean, if you're doing direct comparisons, this to some of those other sets, so like the other larger sets, I think the direct comparison price-wise would be the Death Star Final Duel. That set is fantastic. Obviously, re-release of a classic set that came out 5 or 6 years ago. So if you have to choose between those two, you know, you miss the Final Duel on the first go around, and it's between that and this set. I'd say it's probably a coin toss between the two. Original trilogy sets typically are more popular, higher resale value if you're into things like that. Minifigures on that are, I would give it a little bit better, and the design of that set's a little bit better. So I might give the nod to the Death Star Final Duel at $100, but I do think that this set is very worthwhile, and I think it's worth picking up. But if you got only $100 and you can only choose one of the two sets, I would probably do the Death Star Final Duel. Other sets kind of in the price range right now, if you were going to spend $100 on Lego and that was it. Lego Star Wars anyways, doing a 501st Battle Pack with an AAT and you know, maybe even Anakin's Starfighter. I mean, there's a lot of good sets out right now, so you can kind of, there's pros and cons to everything, but I would definitely say that this guy is worth keeping. And for me, I think it's going to look great on a shelf. Overall, I think I'm going to give it probably like an 8.5. I think that's what I came up with after adding all the other stuff together on average. So it's a pretty good set. I would say worth $100. Wish it would have come with an additional minifigure, but overall, a nice addition to my collection.